So in their ongoing desperation to paint Donald Trump as an inept imbecile every waking moment of his presidency, the mainstream media have yet again scored an own goal. Now, I really don't have anything to add to Andrew Bolt's excellent coverage of this latest instance of fake news, so I'm just going to roll that clip from last night's Bolt report. But I will add one, by now, obvious observation. If the mainstream media is still confused as to why the general public hold them in such low regard, it's incidents like this.
The media's coverage of President Donald Trump, it has been, without doubt, the most disgracefully biased reporting of any topic I've ever seen, and that includes the global warming scare. At times it's just organised lying. Take especially the coverage of Trump's visit this week to Japan. Now, I'm not just talking about the sniggering bias of the usual kind that our ABC once again dished up as a so-called analysis of a piece even claiming that Trump's visit was prompting fears of a culinary gaffe because Wagyu beef was on the menu and Trump had already shocked the foodie world, or so says the ABC, by smothering a steak in tomato sauce. Aren't our ABC journalists suddenly the fine diners? And on the ABC went. Trump would also play golf with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And, whoa, another danger. The US president was an alleged cheat at golf. And on it went, spiteful, biased. But the ABC has not been alone in wishing like hell that Trump would do something embarrassing in Japan. In fact, we have just seen dozens of journalists deceive, invent, or lie by omission to make Trump seem exactly that kind of blundering oaf. I'll give you two examples. The most outrageous started with this tweet by a pool reporter from Bloomberg News, Justin Sink, showing Trump and Abe feeding carp and accusing Trump of just dumping a whole box of food on the fish. Well, for a start, I have to say that Justin Sink should be the last person to complain of overfeeding anything other than himself. But his story was off and running. The Trump-hating CNN repeated that line about Trump dumping a box of food on the carp, and its video, which was tightly cropped, and that's interesting, bear that in mind, showed Trump apparently getting impatient with the restrained feeding by spoon by his Japanese counterpart, and then just dumping the box. Well, the left-wing Guardian went further. Trump dump. President throws entire box of fish food into precious koi carp pond while his host, Shinzo Abe, spoons small amounts of feed. The Huffington Post. Watch as Donald Trump totally gives up on feeding fish in Japan. Twitter, of course, went nuts, and around the world, journalists in various languages claimed Trump was a menace to both fish and to good manners. In the Washington Post, and Jezebel, The Independent in Britain, and even here in Australia, our taxpayer-funded SBS accused Trump of sparking criticism on social media when he was photographed dumping an entire box of fish food into a pond of carp. Well, I got to say that quoting Twitter as your source, I mean, how lazy do you have to be as a journalist? But let me now show you exactly what really happened when Trump fed those lucky fish. Let me show you the wider view that those media outlets didn't, that shows Trump following Abe's lead, spooning out the food, just the modest amount, spoon, 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 and then when Abe empties the last bits of his box, there's Trump copying his host again. So, excuse me, but what did Trump do wrong that inspired these worldwide headlines of a Trump gaffe? Now, you might just say this is a lot of hoo-ha about mere fish food. And that's my point. If the media will lie so brazenly about even this, what other lies do they tell about Trump? Big lies, like Trump colluding with Russia to steal last year's election. But there is one more example of the media lying about Trump in Japan that's so shameless, I've got to mention that too. Several big media outlets picked out this single line from a half-hour speech, took out the context, just to make Trump seem an idiot who didn't even know that Japan already builds lots of cars in the US.
Try building your cars in the United States instead of shipping them over. Is that possible?
Off they went again, CNN snarking that Trump was asking Japan to build cars in the US when, ho, 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 it already does. Forbes magazine did the same, and Slate said this raised questions about Trump's familiarity with basic facts about the American economy. Well, how about Slate getting some basic familiarity with the truth? That would be interesting, because again, go to the full tape. Trump, in that very same speech, said several times that yes, indeed, he knew Japan was making cars in the US. He just wanted it to make some more.
I also want to recognize the business leaders in the room whose confidence in the United States, they've been creating jobs. You have such confidence in the United States, and you've been creating jobs for our country for a long, long time. Several Japanese automobile industry firms have been really doing a job, and we love it when you build cars. If you're a Japanese firm, we love it. Try building your cars in the United States instead of shipping them over.
I see this kind of thing so often. Many journalists, particularly on the left, lie about Donald Trump. They are convinced he's a monster, and so they look for any evidence they think might prove it. If they can't find it, they imagine it, they invent it even. And this is one of the most amazing stories of media corruption of our times.